Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Career Plus Plus. Today, we will be doing our workshop 3, Pathfinding Workshop Session 3. In the last two sessions, we focus on understanding yourself, your confusion, your patterns, and your strengths. Today, we talk about something that silently shapes every career decision you make, your mindset. Mindset is not about being positive all the time. It's about how you interpret failure, delay, comparison, and uncertainty. So, with me today is Mr. Bargab Mohandas, CEO of DN69, who will take us through the winning mindset and overcoming limiting beliefs. Mr. Bargab, please.
Thank you, Miss Jennifer. Actually, just one thing. I just realized you mentioned me about being a CEO, but I think gone are the days when I used to be one. Nowadays, I'm just being happy being myself, and so yeah, we already had our two initial sessions where we have, I think, started exploring about ourselves, and today we are taking a step further in terms of seeing that how winning mindset works and how we can overcome that whatever we believe is limiting us. Before that, by the way, very quickly, last time during our session, I think we discussed about how to understand our own patterns in terms of our thinking pattern and skill set. So earlier today, I believe the questionnaires have already been sent out to all the participants. So we really would like all our friends to do a similar questionnaire fill up as it was done in case of the career pathway alignment. So once those had been filled in, then obviously Career Plus Plus would have a similar analysis as it was done on the career path alignment in terms of identifying our skill set. Only difference, by the way, this time that we don't have the liberty of like choosing all the like A, B, C, D, all the options. This time it's strictly a single option to be chosen from the four given there. All right, now coming to today's session. So what is mindset? Like very simply put, mindset is actually, we can see as three aspects: that how do we explain the outcomes to ourselves, because there are ways of seeing the same thing with different spectacles. Then second thing, that how do we respond to setbacks? So whenever things don't go the way we foresee them to be, so how do we respond to that? And last but definitely not the least, that how do we interpret other people's success? So to elaborate a little bit on that, like whenever we come across any affair in our lives, right? The first one I'm talking about now. So whenever the outcomes come, when we say how do we explain it to ourselves, meaning what are the aspects we see out of that outcome? Whether we see the positives, negatives, lessons to learn, things to avoid. Are we too positive or or too critical of those outcomes? So we need to ask these questions to ourselves every time we come across an outcome of something. How do we explain that thing to ourselves? So for example, I just go back to one of the very old memory I had, a vivid memory I had with one of my classmates, because like he was always very much critical of himself. It's good to be self-critical, but if we are too critical of ourselves, it can be also detrimental, right? So the thing is that he was always critical of some other teacher's ability on, like some other teacher's belief on his ability. And he'd always say that, no matter what, this teacher would never regard me to be a good student, so that I don't think I'll get a good good mark in his or her subject. But surprisingly, when the exams came and he got a very reasonably good mark, so we said, you see, it's as simple as that. It's all about your ability. You did a good job and you got good marks. It's as simple as that. So what made you to be worried so much? And of that outcome, the kind of explanation he gave, no, 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 you don't get it, because this particular semester will carry only 25% of the marks to the final exam, but next semester it will carry 75%. So he or she is giving me some hopes this time, so that when it comes to 75%, I'll get a real bashing. So you see, it's about, like, I'm just giving an extreme example based on a factual thing. So that's it. That how do we explain an outcome, right? How do we respond to setbacks? It's very straightforward. We are bound to receive setbacks in our life. So we either can learn our lessons and get better, or rue about the missing things and screw up the entire process in the process going forward. So it's on us, right? And it's very important to focus on this aspect as well, that how do we interpret it, other people's success. So I think these are the things we need to ask ourselves. We don't need to reveal outside that, if whether we feel good about someone's success with a proper reason, or are we critical of someone else's success, and that too with reasoning, because we come across different traits. There are certain people in the world who are happy with everyone's success and just and just feel happy about it. Or whereas there are certain set of people who would be, no matter what, whenever they would see something good happening on somebody else's life, might feel quite bad about it, even though that has nothing to do with his or her own life. So these are three basic traits where we can, these are the things we need to ask ourselves, and the answer basically defines, how our mindset has been set. So that's why, like, based on this, what we can say, that our mindset decides where a challenge will eventually become a lesson or a limit. So just to start with. So see, I mean, I'm just reiterating again, even though we're in the third session. So our job in these sessions are to highlight the things so that we can start thinking more about our traits, because that's how I believe we can grow ourselves. Of course, if there is any clarity needed on all the aspects, or anyone would like to hear me out in terms of what my personal opinion are about the right way of doing it, we can have those conversations during the Q&A. But here I'm just trying to highlight the moot point. So now that's why, like, we talk about the way we think, right? So basically, that's why we can broadly we can think of two ways to think. One is a fixed way of thinking, and the other is a growth thinking. So what is fixed thinking? So fixed thinking is a way that when we say that this is who I am, and I don't see a need to change myself. I think we had this conversation last time during the Q&A, right? That if we really need to become someone else to be successful in life, to which I said no. I mentioned that, okay, we have to be the person that who we are. So that's why, from that aspect, this is who I am is the right thing. But having said that, this is who I am without any further need for fine tuning, that would make it a mixed thinking. But when we talk about the growth thinking, so it is definitely that the way we start thinking that this is what I'm learning. So if we mix it up together, this is who I am, and I accept that I have rooms to grow, and this is why I need to learn. So if we can mix both the aspects and focus more towards growth while maintaining the fixation on our basic values, that perhaps gives us far more room for a positive growth. So that's why growth mindset is not only about optimism, it's about how we learn and adapt. All right. So certain beliefs that can limit us, right? So when we quietly always feel something, for example, a lot of time people come up with a question, right? That are we too late to start something new, right? So the thing is that rather than asking that question, if we just make a prejudiced view that okay, I'm already quite late for this, so let's not do it. It's basically like finding out a reason why not to do something rather than finding a way to do the thing that we think we should do. Similarly, another limiting belief is if we just accept that okay, like all the people around us are far more capable. That's why they're being able to do. Rather than doing that, if someone is already more capable, that's possible. We come across people who are far more capable than us, but then limiting belief that we said okay, they're more capable and this is meant for them, so we better not do it. But if we want to get beyond that limitation, what we would see, we would like to see that if someone is really far more capable than us, what more he or she might have done to be in that position, right? So that's the thing. Then third, another limiting belief, when we think that okay, there is a proverb saying well begun is half done. It is a very good, it's a very deep, very in-depth meaning. Well begun is half done. Well begun is not done. But a lot of people, they would simply put these two things together. They said, oh, I have to get it right the very first time, because well begun is half done. So that means if well begun is half done, but if you haven't begun any well, it's okay. It's not gone. Only that the probability of attaining success is still there, but it may not be very high. But then again, with our efforts, we can convert it to high, right? So that's why, of course, we should strive to get a great beginning of everything, but that is not all. Okay, but so this is definitely, it definitely is a trait that can limit, the like you see, our belief should have very high range. If we limit our belief, then how do we grow? I think we mentioned about this, right? That if we really if we really expect people to come and respect us, we should respect ourselves the most. Same thing, right? If our self belief is low, then what we can achieve? Of course, we don't have to be believing ourselves too much, unnecessarily. But the thing is that we have to get rid of all these limitations, where like limiting traits that can reduce our self belief proposition. And the last but not the least, again, like we have been emphasizing on it quite a bit, that if we feel that okay, if I fail one time, this failure defines me, so basically someone might even laugh at me being a loser. But does it really make a difference? Because actually if we fail, it doesn't define anything, but it defines only one thing, that okay, there is a room to grow. So only thing that we need to do is to retrospect and introspect at the same time, and figure out why we failed. And once we get that reason, just rectify them. So that's why sometime if we have a sort of limiting beliefs within ourselves, then they like, even if it like certain negative aspects that we feel, if we come across in our life, they might just feel like being facts. We don't even bother to question them because our beliefs are already limited. So that's why we should have more openness in our minds, believe ourselves much more than if we are feeling that we are not growing properly, and then question ourselves on all these aspects, that if something is not happening the way we expected it to be, why? Let's get the answer of every single why, and then figure out a way that how we get around that. Now, yeah, it's a bit sensitive, but I think we need to address this issue too, that why it can happen to an individual, right? So broadly, what we have identified, I think, four aspects that play very, very significant role in limiting our beliefs. One, which we also touched base upon a little bit during our last session too, family expectations. Because many of us, when we grow, we had been told by our family that okay, this is what is right, what is wrong, what to do, what not to do, and things like that. And a lot of time, expectations of the family fall on us too, and a lot of time it even happens like the children need to bear the unfinished desire of the parents. A lot of time it happens, which is, I'm not commenting it's good or bad, it happens. So sometime what happens when the family expectations come on us and we tend to see things from that lens, so automatically certain aspects would come and limit our beliefs on ourselves. And sometimes it can be also like, we give so much of importance to the expectations, that expectation thing pressurized us so much that we never got a chance to to hone our skills. A lot of time we come across like if we come across, without getting any particular example, but I believe we all follow the current affairs so well. A lot of time what we come across that a business started by a generation of the family is taken to a different level by the next generation, where it reached sort of like zenith. And a generation thereafter, since they got it very easy, they become more reliant on just maintaining or just maybe being benefited by it. Why? Because it's not that they were not expected to grow it further, but perhaps the expectation became so heavy that beyond a certain point it was not possible to take it forward, so they would rather limit their belief and focus on doing some philanthropic things, just to maintain the legacy, things like that. Second is, of course, sometime that limits ourselves also is academic conditioning, because when we are in our learning phase, especially when in like the usual learning procedure, so a lot of time things are seen from the spectacle of being correct or wrong, right? And a lot of time, I think, during this academic process, when we learn, we focus more on how to get our good grades, because that becomes a paramount, right? How to get the good grades, how to get admission in the best institution, so that our next phases of the career looks better, and so on and so forth. So that is another aspect sometime that can have the potential of limiting our beliefs. Third, social comparison, which again I think happens quite a bit, especially I believe in this part of the world. I think it's quite an Asian thing also to happen, that a lot of time, like, we tend to focus and compare quite a bit with the people whom we know. And I think this is one aspect that we, I think, discussed on a different platform in this very room, about how such comparison can create sort of like, even though some people would like to call it constructive competitiveness amongst the friends, but in a way it just becomes sort of like negativity within the people who are very close. For example, I mean, I think most of us have come across that situation, right? That if we are focusing quite a bit on perhaps studies as our paramount focus, so we might be having very good friends. We are good at everything else, But then if that friend gets slightly better grade than us in the exam, we might still have a slight feeling of jealousy or whatever we call it, because we really, the prime, for wherever the prime focus is, we want to be the best in that one. So this kind of comparison mindset also sometimes doesn't let our beliefs to grow beyond a certain point. And yeah, past failures. So if we don't take failures as a source of extra energy, past failures can definitely limit our potential. Because if we take it negatively, that, oh, we failed last time, if we try again, we might fail again, so better not try it anymore. So that definitely can bring another limiting belief, right? So the thing is that uh, like what we just need to do, that we need to learn and learn what learn of course we have to learn all the bits that is that like from all these aspects we have to learn all the things that can take us down south, but at the same time we also have to have the open mindset to see the positivities in every these aspects, so that we can expand our horizon a bit. Now, okay, fear versus fact. So that's again, I think it's since we are talking about this belief aspect today. So sometime we just limit ourselves simply out of fear, not due to any fact. It's just a fear that doesn't let us grow, right? So where these fears come from? It's like one is of course some imagined outcomes because of limited thinking. Since we have limited our beliefs in ourselves, so we focus more on the negative side of the all the aspects, and then okay, if we do this we might the outcome might be that, so okay, it will be detrimental, we better not do it. It's an imagined outcome. We don't know the facts yet, right? Inherited narratives, that this is again the same example that we mentioned, that okay, we might have some like 2 and 3 are quite similar, like based on, but there is a small difference. That's why it's kept as two different things. When we say inherited narratives, means that we haven't experienced it yet. Someone else whom we know already has some experiences, negative experiences. So as a result of that, we just need to, so and so, like for example, like okay, that person also tried out this business and failed, so if I try I might also fail. So that's like an inherited narrative, right? So as a result of that, okay, we don't even we get afraid. That fear sort of like limits us. And the number 3 is past experiences. The replayed means what? This is where we already have experienced a failure, and that scared us. But rather than focusing on what actually we learned from the experience, we just focus that okay, we just grew that fear in our mind that last time we failed, so better not give it a shot, right? So that's why whenever we come across such fears, right? So then just we have to ask ourselves this one simple question, that is this fear based on a real evidence or simply based on an assumption? Because a lot of time even the past experience thing we can label it as an assumption if we have not gone down deep enough to find out why we failed that time and how to rectify it. Okay, so that's why like fear can just create some wrong predictions to limit our growth, but if we really focus on the real facts with real effort in finding the facts, it can inform us and can draw us to get to the better solution, better outcome. And now coming to comparison, okay, we already mentioned about this comparison moments back. So if we have to put the 3 key points that traps us and limits our growth, so it's very straightforward as we put across, right? The first, like when we compare ourselves, so the 3 detrimental aspects that it can have on us is definitely it can destroy our confidence. It can definitely distort our timelines from the perspective that, I mean, when we like the thing that with proper planning, which we could have done maybe in 2 months, simply because wasted our time comparing with this and that, you know, and it a lot of time it basically ignores a lot of hidden struggles. So let me get into each of them one by one. Okay, so a lot of time if we compare without getting to the detail, right? For example, that we have seen someone who's our peer, and we have seen that some level of success that this person has acquired, right? I'm just saying that this first one, destroying the confidence. So assuming that we know all the details about that person, and then but we know that that person is successful and we are not, and we just compare that result and feel bad about it. So that is one way. The other way, when we say about distorted timeline, is it can happen two ways, right? So first is for basically like, okay, we're starting something and we compare ourselves with one aspect which is similar, and we say, okay, it makes sense, but let's not be happy about it. Let's compare with another one, and we spend time. That one may not be very good. Then we compare with third one. It might be good. And okay, now we decide, let's go and we'll do it. But by that time, how much time we have lost? That initiative might have lost its advantage, because there is a word called first mover advantage, right? So that initiative by that time might have been already something that 50 other people are doing. So you see, we completely have distorted the entire timeline and lost the advantage that we could have, achieved. And third, ignores hidden struggles. So this is something I personally come across quite often. A lot of time, because, okay, I've been away for more than half of my life, right? So a lot of my childhood friends, they have no idea what I had been doing all this while. Only thing they can see sometime a post here and there. Now again, it's much lesser than before, but and they just simply would make the comment that, oh, life has been so good to you. We are still stuck with this, looking after a family, waiting for a promotion. Still, the paycheck every month makes a sense. We still wait for a bonus, and these things make us happy. But you already went beyond all these things so fast, so early in your life. So life is so good to you. But do they really know what I have come across this entire thing, or what is happening with my life in reality, right? So sometime when people compare, they don't know the hidden struggle. So they just compare based on some perceived information. What they see in social media or things like that, and they make a narrative out of it. In the process, stress themselves, and also give, because whenever people would say something like this, at least I have seen enough to not to feel anything good about whenever people would say things, because I can actually feel whenever these are not flattery, or these are not some, actually it has a tremendous amount of sort of like feel of despair in there. So it's a negative energy if we see it from their perspective. And second thing, I really feel it laughable, because I really know that all the things that they're perceiving, it's not true. My life is not that great at all. Okay, so that's why a lot of time when we get into this comparison trap. So in one line, actually, this line it's a personal favorite, that people are comparing their behind the scene efforts with someone else's highlight reel. Because most of the times what we see of people's life in the social media or public forum, it's a highlight. We don't know what is going on, right? But the thing is that, so it is something like I think many of us play cricket. So it's like ruining about a very bad session in the nets, seeing some highlight of a T20 game. So it's like that, So basically, when someone goes and hits those sixes, if it's in cricket, if it's baseball, those home run, after how much of toil, nobody sees that, right? So so I think this is a very important thing also to consider for, like stop. Okay, we should compare, but compare from the perspective of learning, but not from the perspective of feeling jealous or feeling left out or feeling minimized by somebody else's success. Always compare people who seem to be successful, but try to see how they have become that, what they have done right, and try to learn from it rather than feeling some self misery. So based on that, what we would like at Careers Plus Plus to redefine failure. Because most of the very common definition of failure is what? That you are unsuccessful at something. And that means you're incapable, you're not being able to do anything. But it's not. It's if you have failed in something, on one particular thing, let's not define that as failure. But what is real failure? If we cannot get the real correct feedback of why something went wrong, if we get the wrong data, wrong data can be anything. It can be self-perceived understanding or whatever, right? But that is failure. That if we cannot gather the right feedback to ourselves that why it failed and get the real data that define that particular failure on that one aspect. Of course, we are failure that if we cannot do a direction correction and don't give ourselves another chance. So normally, every time I deal with my own team, so one thing I always tell, which I'm not quite sure how far actually people who listen it from me also understand. I always say that I always am absolutely okay with 3 mistakes on the same thing. First mistake, it's fine. We don't even second mistake, it may happen, but have we taken the correct measures? We may still fail. But third mistake, if it gets repeated again, then okay, we need to really go and check what's really wrong. Same thing, right? So that's why it's about direction correction and giving ourselves another chance. So this is the thing. Like if we repeat a mistake more than twice, then we have invited some serious consequences. And I have no sense of shame or remorse saying that I have done that in my life. I repeated certain mistakes, be it in the personal life that even have impact on the work. And yes, the price that one has to pay for that is humongous, to the extent that, and I'm very happy that in spite of that, eventually I felt that all these lessons became the awakening tool for me. And now at least for myself, I can be very clear that I won't repeat any of those mistakes anymore. So, and then also I'm very, I urge all of you to realize that, whenever a failure occurs, it can be it's not only from the career's perspective. These principles remain the same in all aspects of life. Like whenever something goes wrong, it has a reason. Identify that reason, correct it, and after that, do the same thing again. And 9 out of 10 times, we would succeed. So that's why no career path is failure-free, but let failure be the source of improvement, self-improvement. So if we can master ourselves on dealing with failure, then definitely confidence goes to a different spectrum altogether. We discussed partially about confidence last time. So once we can get rid of the aspects like unnecessary fear, we learn how to deal with failure. So automatically, confidence can be redefined. So you see, confidence, a lot of time people say, oh, this guy is very confident, he doesn't care anything, but that's ridiculous. I mean, for someone to be confident, no way that person can have no fears or doubt. We have to have our fears, we have to have our doubts, and based on that, we correct ourselves. So that's why confidence is what? That it is an ability to act despite uncertainty, because we know that no matter whatever adverse come our way, we'll figure out a way. We'll figure out a way to get better of the situation, and of course learning faster from the mistakes. So a mistake will happen. So yeah, mistakes will happen, but we'll correct it. So that's why confidence would normally grows from action, not uncertainty. So obviously we have to have our share of fears and doubts, but then again, think our way out of that fear and doubt and act. And once we start seeing success in those actions, then automatically, we become confident. So that's why confidence can grow only when we start acting, not remain fearful and sit, with uncertainty. And then once we have that confidence that, okay, like if we have the conviction in what we are doing, we will deal with it, then automatically I strongly believe that we are very much into now a practical mindset. So when we say practical mindset, is not like a lot of time people misunderstand the practical mindset to be that someone who calculates the monetary side of it very well, or how to gather best benefits with less efforts and things like that. But honestly, we that is, again, like I said, I think we already had one session where we discussed this thing, right? That when someone achieves a lot with very least effort, 9 out of 10 times they were lucky. We should not focus too much on the shortcuts of success or whatever we call it, right? If we really want to get success with a long-term sustainability, we really toil our way. So that's why when we talk about a practical mindset, so what we need to do, that what if I fail, that kind of fears we have to convert with positive aspect, that okay, what will I learn if I fail in this? Okay, at least I will know this and that, so I can be better next time. Similarly, that yes, there is a possibility that we may not be ready to take a step now, but then rather than just saying, oh, I'm not ready, so I better wait for some time. Wait for some time to do what? To God come down and help us? No, right? So if we, the moment we have something in our mind, oh, I'm not ready yet, then immediately what we should focus on, that okay, what should I do as my next small step? Not the entire thing. So we know that there are 15 steps to achieve what I want to do, and I'm not ready for those 15 steps. But maybe I'm ready for 2 or 3 steps. At least let's do the best job in those 3 steps, and then learn step 4, step 5, and so on and so forth, right? So that how we can, we can at least progress. So if we just wait to become super perfect and then only we start working, I think we just end up waiting forever. So at least let's have some progress, and then eventually, like sometime if we can achieve perfection, it's well and good. But we don't have to be perfect on day one to achieve something, right? So okay, now that we come across, I just want to extend a little bit on the previous one, the practical mindset. Like since we touched the base upon this, like shortcut to success kind of things, that which at Careers Plus Plus we feel that we rather provide, like I also strongly believe this as a very much part of this practical mindset shift. Because the other day I was listening to one of the very evolved mind, and just heard this part, which I believe I would just like to share with all of us here. In fact, I shared with you, Tungish, earlier today. Like, for success, if someone asks that how much relevant luck is luck relevant to attain success? The answer is definitely yes. But when luck will knock our door, we have to have the talent and ability to deliver. Then only we can deliver what luck brings, an opportunity, and with talent and ability, we should take that opportunity to convert it to something meaningful. But having said that, if that one-time success is required to be converted to a sustainable success series or whatever we call it, then we have to toil hard and improve on a regular basis. That's where the effort and hard work comes. So that's why if someone is really willing to have a long-lasting success in the path of the in the long run, from a practical mindset, let's think it that way. The day opportunity arrives our door, at least we stay good enough to take the opportunity at the first place, but then we improve ourselves in such a manner that it stays with us. A lot of time, we come across this kind of words, right, in the sports, and a lot of time in the movies, like one time wonder. So what was that one time wonder? Like we have seen, right? Like a lot of people, like right at the beginning of their career, they flourish and disappear just like that. Why? Did they not get chance? Yes, they did. Were they not lucky? Yes, they were. They got the chance. They flourished because they had the talent. But then that short-term success perhaps went through their heads. They didn't apply themselves well, and in the process, they just in the longer run, they just disappear, right? So this is why a practical mindset is what that okay. If the luck gives us the opportunity, take it with both hands. Use your talent to convert it to a good success, and then continue with our efforts to improve on a day-to-day basis so that on a longer run we remain successful and relevant. All right, now for today's reflections, which all of us can ask ourselves, put a note, and as I always say, that anytime you'd like to have discussion here or even post session during the private sessions, as some of us already have reached out to Careers Plus Plus. So we'll be very happy to have that conversation. So here, let's put it like these three questions to ourselves and answer them. First, one belief that we think limits us. And if we know that belief, ask where has it come from? Because we already have discussed about the sources where this kind of limiting beliefs can come, right? And then one alternative belief that we are willing to try to remove the limitations, you know. So the thing is that we don't need to put our entire belief on one aspect fully, right? But we have to be open that there can be different probabilities and possibilities. So that's pretty much on the reflection side. And yeah, so what's next? Okay, so actually we have updated our stock keeping units with addition of some more new items. Of course, these are all going to be available in the website anyway, but the stock keeping units that's relevant to our session today is, of course, certified personal assessment, which is already, I think, available to most of us, whosoever has submitted, finished your questionnaire. And the next one is personal productivity system. So it is basically to develop a self productivity blueprint. But before going to this, I think personal productivity system, we need to have our skill set mapping tool sorted, for which the questionnaires have been sent out earlier today. So I urge all of you to fill that in. And once that mapping process has been done, then we proceed with sending the questionnaire for this aspect. So that we can have that personal productivity system process blueprint prepared for all our participants who fills in the questionnaire. So yeah, that's it. So it wasn't that long today. So let's move for our open session for the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bargab. So now we're open for group discussion or question and answer. If you have any questions, feel free to type in, or you can just ask your question and we will give you the mic. Maybe let's give them a chance to answer the question. Maybe we should ask them a question. What do you think?
Yeah, we can.
So this question is open for everyone to answer. Feel free to reflect only if you're comfortable. So first question, what belief about success or failure has held you back? You can answer this or you can answer the other question, which is, when was the time you avoided something because of fear? Anyone is free to answer.
Any input, guys? I think please feel free to come up because we try to be more interactive.
Maybe you should start answering.
Okay. What is the question again?
You can choose between A, what belief about success or failure has held you back, or when was a time you avoided something because of fear?
Let me answer both. So first one is that what held me back due to too much thinking about success or failure, right?
Yeah, what belief in particular?
See, at the beginning of your career, we always have some lack of clarity, right? So, which I think we touched base upon in our first two sessions as well. So, those lack of clarity sometime, yeah, I mean, tend to come as a barrier. For me personally, at the early stage of my career, the main because you see, I mean, at that stage of career and things were going very fast. I was growing very fast from the public perception, so I really wanted to maintain a very clean image of being extremely successful. So of course, I gave a lot of emphasis on if it goes wrong, how will it perceive to be, how what will happen to my image, that because I got an image at a very young age that whatever I touch it becomes successful. So maybe I got a bit too self-conscious of myself, and always was a bit skeptical initially that if it goes wrong, so yeah, that's I think delayed certain process. But at the same time, that answers your second question, that to get rid of that situation, yes, I just did the best I could. We didn't have AI back then. We have limited Google and Wikipedia in its beginning stage. So so did that bit. Of course, used my own network to learn, and yeah, eventually take the step. Eventually take the step. So yeah, it was maybe the fear of self-image, like of being successful all the time. That bothered me a bit. So that was from my personal experience. But now at this phase, I feel if we believe in something, we better go ahead and do it. And then now I think AI has made life much easier too, right? We can definitely use this all this technological tool. Yeah. I think it answered both your questions, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think we have a question from Miss Prajakta.
Fear doesn't go away, like it stay with us for a long time.
As we discussed, if fear doesn't go away, we have to find out the reason why it hasn't gone away, right? So it's as simple as that. If fear doesn't go away simply because our psychological conditioning is not there, then it's very hard to help, right? But the thing is that's why we talk about don't focus on the fear, focus on the facts, right? So if fear is not away means what? We still lack something. What all we lack? Let's enlist it. A B C D E F G, right? And once we know what we lack, how we get better in it. So I think we need to put some effort. That takes the fear away. Yeah.
But it can be a personal also, right? Personal sides.
If it's a neurological, that's what I say. That it's a neurological thing, right? That means our brain, we cannot control our brain. Then maybe do a bit of extra yoga and meditation. That should help. Yep.
Thank you.
See, the thing is that, like, there is no limit of what we can do, what a human mind can do, right? So every time we feel, you see, there is a very simple way of looking into things, right? I sort of started, this I'm just sharing personally, it may or may not work with everyone. There is two things. There is a simple Buddhist belief, right, that says, it shall pass, so nothing is permanent, right? So if we can understand that bit, whatever stays, it stays for a moment. If we can understand that part, then we can always remain grounded. Meaning, if something good happens with us, there is no point of being so happy because it also will pass. It will not remain that good all the time. And same at the same time, if something wrong happens with us, that also shall pass, because that also will never remain, right? So I think that is one way of conditioning our mind, that whatever happens, it happens for a reason, and we just need to you know figure it out. That's the thing. Because like another way, that's the first one. The second one, as I would say, when we achieve something, and then if some sense of pride or arrogance come to our mind, immediately let's think about someone who's achieved more than us and be humble. And at the same time, if we feel something has gone wrong with us and we started feeling bad, just think of someone who has got lost much more than we do. Then your own discomfort disappears. So there are ways to condition our minds. So because your question is about that, right? Maybe our condition of our mind is such that we cannot take ourselves to this logical thinking. So these are some small things which I personally, the people who know me close enough, they can. I can see Hemant is there in that group, so I think he's understanding what I'm talking about, because I have come across all this in my life, so I'm very clear about it. That before coming across all these adversities, I had all these limitations. But obviously, once you come through this situation, you tend to get away from this thing. It needs some hard work, but doable.
I think we have a question from Zoom. Tyson is raising his hand. Tyson, please.
Okay. So my question is, like, at what point can we say that we have a clarity with what we want to do for career or with our own decisions? Because for me, as like personally, I have been like interested in different things. Like, I'm interested in, like, say, graphic design, and then I started doing this. And then, like, when I have connections with some people, and like I want to do something different, like video editing, I mean, for example. And then I think like maybe I might want to do my career in this. So it's having exposure to different things, and we have like changing the fields that we want to work on, and then I mean I don't know, like, when is it going to be continue to happen for someone with like me, having and making my own decisions. I want to do this and I want to change this, and even though I think that might be what I'm really interested in, but when I find something new, there can be things that I want to try, and I prefer this one. So, like, yeah, at what point can we say that we will have clarity on for the long term?
Sorry if I get your question right, because the audio was a bit unclear. So you mean to ask that if there are multiple things that you feel that you can alter your career, should we explore it, right? Did I get it correct?
Yes. So we explored and then we change. So at what point can we say we have clarity on this, on career decision?
Okay, got it. So see, the thing is that I think we all have this. It's a very good thing, by the way. I think it's a very positive mindset what you said, right? So amidst this, so broadly, I mean, if we are talking about 2 to 3 different additional career paths that we think we are good, yeah, we should explore, but let's not make it too many, because I mean, thing is that I'm just putting up with some very crude examples. For example, suppose there is someone who's doing a job. He has some business sense, he or she. Okay, he or she has some good business sense. At the same time, that person can cook well. They make good food once a month, maybe. They can sing reasonably well in karaoke things with their friends. when they go to play, they play reasonably well, and then if that person starts thinking that everything can be a career, I mean, he or she can be a chef one day, next day they can be a athlete, the next day they can be an artist. That also doesn't work, right? So the thing is that first of all, we need to identify which of our interests can effectively be a career alternative, right? And then assess ourselves with the real professional world. That's the practical mindset, that if we compare ourselves in that practical field, where do we stand? And if we see that we have a really good chance based on the facts, not based on some assumptions or perceptions, based on the facts established with self, yes, why not? Give it a shot after that. Plan it properly, and at Careers Plus, this is what we intend to do together with all of you. You know, if we have a plan like this, let's discuss it out and we can make a plan. Yeah. Could I answer your question, Tyson?
Yes, thank you.
So in case you have any such alternative plans in your mind, we can session another call like we did last time, and then we take it from there. All right?
Yes.
Okay.
We have another question from Modupe. Modupe, please go ahead.
Yes. So actually, my reflection was really similar to Tyson's. Mine was about the belief that you have that the first reflection that was there. Mine was more so it was formulated like going through the education system, and we have this standardization that um, you go through education, you go through college to pursue a particular specialization. But then I feel like that has changed a lot, especially over the last 5 years. And like after going abroad and going out to study, I sort of started seeing different perspectives of people like changing careers and integrating their careers. So now I understand that having something set in stone, you don't have to necessarily like have something set in stone. There can be like a form of integration, because I also, like Tyson, had lots of interests, but they were sort of in the same like sphere. But then I felt like rather than integrating it, I was always just like jumping from one to the other whenever I lost or gained interest. So now I sort of like understand there can be success in integration rather than just having things independently.
True, very true. See, the thing is that a lot of time, most of the education system is such that we focus more towards getting good grades, because that basically defines us, right? But I believe in practical world, it's a bit more than that, right? So yeah, I mean that is something. So if you have any specific such specific interest diversions that you would like to discuss, we can definitely have a separate discussion on that. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you for sharing that, Modupe. I think we don't have any more questions, so we can wrap up today's session. So we are meeting again on Wednesday, same time. Am I
Correct.
correct?
So
Yeah.
next week we'll actually conclude this self-realization part. So next week would be the conclusive one in terms of how to identify ourselves. Okay. So after that, the week after, we will start with the real, I would say, how to say, the specific aspects. So next, sessions 5 and 6 would be focused more towards the path to be taken for jobs and professional corporate world, and sessions 7 and 8 would be focused more towards paths to be taken towards the higher studies. But having said that, at the same time, we will maintain a balance on all the other career paths. So let's wrap up about this self-realization, self-identification session in our session 4, and then from session 5 onwards, let's proceed towards doing the hardcore stuff for our next phases in life. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Just to add, Mr. Bragab, in the next session, we'll work on communication confidence as well. So how mindset shows up in how you speak, present, and interact. So with that, thank you again for joining us in today's session, and we'll see you again on Wednesday for our next session. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If this video added value to your journey, please like it, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to the Careers Plus channel. Thank you.